We're going to continue tearing this thing down. Just wanted to show you guys, isn't really much going on with this. Anyone can really build a land speed bike. That's really what I want to show you guys. It's not...
Roger, 013, stand by.
Move to the Stone Age, son!
And we are back. What's up, you guys? So today we're going to finish tearing apart these two motors, primarily focusing on the race motor itself. The spare motor, I'm not really too worried about tearing that thing apart, so I'm only going to show you guys tearing down one of them. Basically, I know this case, like we went over before, is cracked, so I want to tear this thing down, split the case, get inside of it, send all of this stuff off to go get vapor honed and cleaned up professionally. More than I'm lazy about it, so if I was to do it, it wouldn't turn out that well. So we're going to send all that stuff off. We're going to do about the rest of the bike and what the plans are forward with that, and the next plans with continuing racing throughout the fall. Don't want to keep doing that. How are we supposed to lock this? You know what? I'm being dumb. We have to drain all the oil first. I don't know why I didn't think about that first. Probably should have done this before I even started tearing down the top end of it. Woo. Nasty. Alright, so first we're going to start taking off this clutch side cover plate. I'm hoping we don't have to take off this inspection plate. I'm not really too sure. I was trying to read it in that manual over there, but you know, these bikes are old. Not everything's going to be in the literature. So I'm going to start with trying to take this all apart. I really don't want to take off this inspection plate because this screw is stripped, and I really just don't want to deal with trying to get, you know, a bolt out that's all stripped out. So we're going to start with doing that. Unfortunately, as well, a lot of these still have the original like Phillips head fasteners. We're going to be replacing those when we put the motor back together, but I want to, again, you know, still save everything just in case for some reason we can't find Allen cap screws or anything else. So well, we do have to get this inspection cover off. It's not an inspection cover. It actually is where the oil pump sits. Obviously, there's no oil pump on here. That's why it's all, you know, blacked off and backed out. It's actually sealed up all the way around it. So we'll figure out a way to get in there. Also, we got the strip screw in there. Hopefully, it's not the worst thing in the world. It's not like, you know, this bike just sits and races only in beautiful, arid, salty deserts. So we gotta figure out that, and hopefully it's not all that big of a deal. Whew, alright. Finally got her out. I will say, speed out really works pretty well. I mean, it's pretty destroyed up in there. But whoop. As you can see, it got it out. So, big ups to Speed Out. But yeah, let's keep tearing this thing down. Let's break this thing apart and get this clutch out of here. So, there's a sealant on this case cover that they put on here. It doesn't even look like, oh, maybe it did all the way form, but so you can see, put this crazy weird sealant on there. Whoop. Put a patch. No clue what all that's for, but luckily they did do something right. Here, I'll show you guys on this other camera here. So you can see they did put an oil pump cover plate on it. And by the way it looks like they made it themselves. Not a big problem, but yeah, at least they were actually really thinking about this here. We put those on, I put those on everything, all my bikes, but not everyone does. And this is a better, little up close to that sealant that they had put on here. It's kind of grody. Alright you guys, so this is the bike with the clutch cover off. The clutch pack looks pretty normal to me. It's pretty, looks like there's a lot of wear to it. From the outside you can see all the kind of etching on these steel plates here. Probably aluminum actually. But so we're going to tear this down again, pull this all apart and keep going. And I'll keep breaking. Well, it's starting to get pretty hot, so it's time to crack open a freshie. Woo! Ow. Yeah, nothing beats one of these Topo Chicos on a hot day. But, so yeah, we're going to keep tearing this thing down. Hopefully we can get this case apart today. That's the goal, at least. I'm going to try to scoot the camera a little closer. Maybe I'll just move the table there. I don't know. Quit my jabber and get back to work. Much better. Okay. These locating pins are super easy to lose. I've lost them a bunch. There's not a lot of things you'll find around the garage that are going to work for it. But it's always wise to keep an eye on them. There are 2 on this case, so I'll make sure to remember that. But just so you guys know who are out there working in the garage, just don't be dumb like me. Put them back into the case. Whew. Still is summer. Still fucking summer. I hope these, you know, angles are alright. Because I don't know what the fuck I'm doing. You really worried I was going to strip that one? I did not want to do that. It's actually kind of an interesting, really interesting clutch disc. And it's stuck. Oh yeah. Well, that's not supposed to do it like that. It's supposed to come out individually. So I'm glad we're doing this, because this is all seized up together. This clutch is toasted. I'll show you guys with the other camera exactly what we're looking at. But looks like we're gonna have to figure out a new clutch system. Alright, you guys, so I just want to show you guys how, I mean, this thing came out in one piece, but this clutch is, I'm really glad we took it out, took it apart without sending her out in there. So that's plate 1, that's basically sealed onto that steel plate, same onto the back side of there. Some of these steel plates are free, others seem to be just like sealed on there. Every other one, I don't know if maybe that's the way this clutch is set up. I'm assuming that has to be the way this clutch is set up. But I'm very glad we did this, because I don't know, I'm glad we're able to do an inspection on this thing at least. Clutch out. What we have to do is take off this clutch basket. This clutch basket requires a special tool. I particularly use this Tusk clutch basket removal tool. There's other tools you could use. This one I think is the cheapest one out there. I like to buy cheap tools, especially when it's stuff like this. So basically all you do, it works like a pair of vice grips. You lynch them in there, in between these teeth, holds it tight so you can take this bolt off. We'll get to that here in a second here. I just need to figure out everything. And that is what the bottom end looks like on the clutch side without the clutch basket. Basically exactly how I expected it to look like. It doesn't look like there's anything too modified with this part, but that means that there's actually spots where we can start modifying some of this stuff here. The more we lighten up in this bottom end, the less of the centrifugal force, you know, spinning, blah blah blah, physics, bullshit, stuff that I don't have a degree in, but I can act like I have a degree in it. So we're gonna keep tearing this down further and further, and hopefully you guys, you know, enjoy this. If you don't enjoy it, I don't know why you're still watching unless you're one of the homies. And if you're one of the homies, thank you. Come over for a beer. I could use someone to swing this camera around and tell me what to do. But never mind that. We're gonna continue tearing this thing down. Just wanted to show you guys, isn't really much going on with this. Anyone can really build a Landspeed bike. That's really what I want to show you guys. It's not rocket science. There might be a little bit of rocket science in it, but that's the stuff that you can look up. That's easy rocket science. No hard rocket science. This gear shifter, super interesting, super weird. Originates down here. This connects to the shaft that goes to the other side. Comes up with a super, you know, whatever arcing arm bullshit, and it goes up here to the actual selector way up here with another cam. Super interesting. I don't know, I thought it was cool. We got the little worm gear off. We got the plastic oil pump gear off. Now you're going to take your circlip pliers. I don't know if you guys don't have these. Go buy some. I mean, Icon makes exact rip-offs of all these stupid little snap-ons. So go buy some. It'll save your life. It'll save your life a bunch. But we're going to start taking off some of these little circlips to get some of these gears out. And yeah, I'll check back with you after that. Okay, super interesting. Took this sprocket off, which goes right here, that connects us to the clutch basket. I don't know what gear it is, but took it off. Under spring load. Just thought I wanted to share that. It's under spring load with this little, gotta find that, little wavy washer, little spring washer. So if you're gonna be taking apart a Landspeed Yamaha LS2 motor, beware of that. Just thought I'd let you guys know, you know, keeping it up there. Alright, you guys, thought this was kind of interesting. This is the gear selector shaft. And basically, anytime that you're shifting a gear, goes through this pin, exits out way over here on this side, which is where your shifter shaft is, you know, a little up and downs. Once that pivots, it pushes this to go into a different gear. I don't know if you guys saw that. So now you're in a whatever gear. Push it down. Woo! Pull it down. Now we're out of sync. And this is the thing about these, just so you guys know, it's like you can get these bikes out of sync fairly easily with all your, like, I think we're in gear right now. But oh no, we're not. We're still in neutral. Sweet. But if you guys can see, as that arm up here moves, turns that wheel, moves this cam upwards, which allows this gear to shift into 5 different gears. Super interesting. What are you looking at? Okay, so just so you guys can see, we are currently working on the kickstart spring retention. So and this is the entire assembly. This spring right here, or this gear right here, is connected to the spring. It's got a little worm gear cam on it with some locking washers. I'm not going to take it apart any farther than this. There's nothing wrong with the kickstart. If anything, we're going to delete this because this weighs a decent amount. So, not worried about that. More worried about this transmission and the bottom end, especially this crank. Because, like I said in the last video, we have a piece of a piston ring that I cannot find. And I'm hoping it's not in here. But at this point, I'm now hoping it's in there, because if not, I have no clue where it went, disappeared, and I gotta turn this motor into NASA, because it's a black hole. Okay. Ooh. Magnets. Welds. Magnets and welds. Magnets. Welds. I'm not gonna lie. To be honest, at this point, we're learning together because obviously I don't know what I'm doing at this point, but we're gonna get there together. I promise you. This motor at some point will be put back together, back into the bike, back onto a lake bed where it belongs, and I'm gonna bring you guys along with me for that. But right now we're both gonna sit here and stare at this, or you're gonna stare at me, stare at this, try to figure this out, because that's the only way we're getting along. And to be honest, I need this table for another project, so sorry, you're just gonna have to deal with it. Maybe I'll put some cool numbers or something going on. Alright, here's that gear selector I've been so annoyingly talking to you guys about, but pretty cool, very large. As you can tell, like I can tell you guys later on with the RDs and stuff, when they kept continuing to develop the parallel twins, stuff like this became a little bit more, less commonplace and more normal selecting cams were put in place. What is up, you guys? Another day back here in the garage. So I messed up. Camera wasn't filming. I wish it was. I thought it was. But basically we're at the point now where we can split this case. Problem is the gear drum set, the shifter drum set. I'll show you guys with the other camera here in a second, but basically this piece needs to come off. I stripped out the bolt, tried taking it out with the speed out, sheared off the head, it's broken inside of there. So we don't have a whole bunch of options, but we do have the correct puller tool, luckily, and I'll show you guys here right now. So, as you can see, this didn't originally look like this, especially without all these metal shavings around it. This little piece here sits on top of that with a screw in there. This setup right here shifts the bike into each gear. It was held on with a Phillips head screw. I broke it, obviously. Tried to break it out again, drill it out, nothing's worked. So we have to use pullers here, split the case. It seems to be splitting all around except till right here, right where our problem is. Whoa. Sorry about that. Right where our problem is. So I think our best option is to start splitting it and then deal with the ramifications from there. I mean, we have another engine case. This one is really damaged. Like you can see, it's been welded up a few times. JB welded there. It needs a lot of work, but we really just want to get to this crank. So I think our best option is to start splitting it still and continue to try to be gentle with this thing, and hopefully it comes out. Or maybe, actually, better yet, we'll continue to drill this screw. If we break this little piece, the little shifter bearing part itself, that's fine. We have another one in the other engine. So let's get to that. And we got it apart. Fuck. I'll tell you guys what. These older engines, a little weird. So this right here is the entire transmission. This right here, clutch rod and the ball bearing that I lost. Alright, so now we're at the point where we need to pull off this magnet base that was for the generator alternators, whatever you want to call it, CDI. Basically what it says to do, thread a bolt in here. It should back up against the crankshaft itself. Yeah, I don't know. Honestly, it should work. I think it should work. This bolt does thread in there. But yeah, let's try doing that. I've never actually done it this way. Works. So, yeah, if you get it stuck. If the magnet's stuck for your alternator or generator or anything on these things, I guess that bolt trick works. Just find a random bolt laying around, shop the threads in, backs up against the crankcase. So now it says to do, what we got to do is we got to basically press the crankshaft, the rest of the crankshaft out from this side. So we'll get to that, and then this thing is basically torn apart. And the motor is finally torn apart. Just took forever. Yeah, so basically, now everything's apart. All of this stuff is gonna get sent off to get vapor honed. I need to make sure everything's cleaned up and good to go before I make any decisions on what we're gonna do with this case, or if we're gonna start working with the other case, or what's going on. But yeah, I'm gonna do a quick, I'm gonna lay down everything so you guys can see all the parts of this motor. And yeah, come back and follow up for some more. We got some really cool stuff going on with this Landspeed bike, including we're gonna do some more interesting fairings. We're going to try to do some carbon fiber work with it. We're going to try to lighten up some more stuff. Obviously, we're going to put back together this engine, hopefully with more horsepower and more performance than it was built with originally. Yeah, and if you guys like this video, made it to the end, please like, share, subscribe, comment, send it to your buddies, send it to your boss so that he can pay me to keep doing more of this work. But thanks you guys if you guys made it to the end. I really appreciate it. And yeah, come back for some more. Well, you guys, that concludes the part 2 of the teardown of the Landspeed bike engine. This was the whole bottom end. As you can see also here, I just want to point this out, more repairs on the case. So I don't think we're going to be using this case. We are going to be using a lot of the internals, especially like this crank rod, or this crank and counter shaft and all that stuff. Maybe some of the clutch components. Everything is labeled through and through. Here's the whole transmission, a little bit more of the reworkings for you. That shift drum, the different gear sets. Yeah, so this is everything that's in the bottom end. And that's the big old pile of tools that was needed to do all this work. Yeah. Again, you guys, thanks for following along. Hope you guys appreciate it. If you don't, I don't really care. So, yeah, see you guys next time, and make sure to keep working on your stuff so you don't, become a lazy bum like I am half the time.